Hi everybody, I am back just to go over the last few parts of our final project. In my previous video, I walked you through how to complete your final project and what it looks like to go through the template and answered all of those questions. If you have any questions on that, please feel free to send me an email through Canvas. And definitely, if you haven't already listened to that recording, go ahead and listen to that, and then feel free to dive in. So what I'm going to go over now is just quickly, this is where you will submit your final project. There's nothing new in the submission box. It's just where to submit, and also the rubric. So just so you can kind of be clear, the rubric is down below, making sure that you have every part included, including the synopsis and summary of each book, your book evaluations, your curriculum connection, your references and citations, the information on the topic, and description of the issue. So do review that rubric just to be sure that you are clear on the expectations. And once you're ready to submit, please do so in this submission box. Now, after you have completed your PowerPoint, you are then going to do a couple more things related to your assignment. You're going to click on Final Project, Self-Reflection, and this is where you will have the opportunity to assess the resources that you used and that you found for your final project. So you want to complete the template, make a copy as we do always. Here we go. And it will open up to assessing your resources. So this is just a time of self-reflection, thinking back to the intent of your project and the issue that you chose, along with the subtopics that you hope to address, the types of literature that you want to include, and the grade and age ranges that you were planning for. So this is after you've completed it, you're now going to reflect. Did you get to do exactly what you had hoped? Did you find the right resources? Were you able to find books that would be appropriate for the grade or age level that you chose? Were the subtopics that you chose on this topic something that does have literature related to it? So this is the time that if you didn't find the right things or it didn't go to plan, you can also talk about the gaps that came up in finding the right literature, anything that you wish you could have found, or anything where you feel like it was oversaturated. So say the topic was on bullying and there was plenty of resources on bullying, but you really wanted a few books on cyberbullying and couldn't find something, or you were really hoping to take the angle of understanding the bully for early childhood education and just simply couldn't. So this is where you could just say, the gaps were here. Say you found a whole bunch on regular bullying, but you couldn't find it from the perspective of the bullying. So the oversaturation was on one side, but the gaps were on the other. If you didn't find any gaps and everything went to plan, that's fine too. So after you've reflected on that, consider the following. What aspects of your project do you think was the strongest? And why, and consider the topics, subtopics that you represented, and the types of books that you included. So what do you think was strong? What went well? And then considering the books that you included in your project, what gaps or needs can you see in relation to the topic or subtopics represented? So that goes back to, let's just say, you were hoping to find books from the perspective of the bully, understanding why children bully, and trying to help children overcome that. And say you didn't find as many books on that as you wanted, or maybe you found one, but it wasn't appropriate for the age or grade level that you were looking for. So that's a good place to reflect and either continue research on, maybe they're out there, we just didn't find them, or maybe you need to write that book. And then if you were to do this project over again, explain one thing that you would do differently and why. So this is not a place where I want you to say, I did it perfect and I wouldn't change a single thing. I want you to think outside the box here and tell me what you would change. Would you change the subtopics? Would you broaden your search? Would you narrow your topic? What went well? What didn't? What would you change if you could do it over again? So this is your self-reflection piece, and that will be submitted a couple of days after you submit your final project, and you will submit that here. Once you have done so, the last thing you need to do is come to this final project discussion board. And in this discussion board, you are going to post your final project that you submitted to me as your initial post. You don't need to write anything else. If you want to, feel free. But really, we're just looking for your initial post. And then you need to respond to 5 presentations of your peers. So in essence, we're doing a peer review here. So everybody must respond to 5 peers. In your discussion post, make sure that you are really focusing on what you learned about the topic from reviewing the individual presentations. So I challenge you to look for topics that you didn't do your assignment on and just try to learn from these assignments and explain what you learned from reviewing your peers' presentation. You're not judging them, you're not assessing them and telling them what they did or didn't do right or wrong. You're simply telling what you learned. So it should be a very positive thing. You will share your comments in your posts, and please make sure that you are addressing your peer by their name, and do give them some positive encouragement, as it's always a little nerve-wracking to share our final presentation with the class. But imagine that we were doing this in a classroom setting, but instead of doing it in a classroom setting, we get to do it on the discussion board. So if you review 5 peers in a meaningful way, explaining what you learned about the topic, then you will receive full credit. Okay, that is the wrap up for how to complete the final project. And in the next video, I am going to just recap how to complete the service learning paperwork, as well as the literature study, and anything else any other loose ends that we have. Thanks for joining me, and please feel free to email me through Canvas if you have any questions.